Hello and welcome to Local Web Expert, where we shine a light on the digital agencies that are helping and making a real difference to their local businesses in their area. Today I'm excited to be joined by Josh Moises from Hidden Valley Digital, which is a Gold Coast based agency located in the Palm Beach area. We'll cover everything today from web design and SEO to the common challenges local businesses face and the digital wins right here on the coast. So Josh, thank you very much for joining us today. Very keen to hear about your origin story and how you got to being in the digital agency business.
No, thanks, mate. Thanks for having us. And no, excited to be here. This is something new. I haven't actually done one of these before. So, my origin story, mate. So, believe it or not, I'm actually a diesel mechanic by trade. I've done that for 13 years, pretty much doing FIFO. I've always been pretty heavily into investing. And one day I was actually listening to a podcast, an investment podcast, and I heard about Matt and Liz. They were actually being interviewed on this podcast. And I've always been interested in computers, and I actually built a website when I was back in school a long time ago now, but I was like, oh, you know what, maybe this is something I could do. So I actually looked into it, and I looked into the Digital Investors Program, and I actually got really excited. I was like, wow, this is awesome. I really think this is something that I could really do. So at the moment, I'm still working FIFO. I'm actually a supervisor in the mining industry at the moment, just looking after contractors that we do like major work on shutdowns on machines and things. And I think it's really sort of been an eye-opener for me to go, okay, well, maybe there is something else that I can do that's going to get me out of the mining game. I've been doing it for a very long time. It is very high-risk work, and, I miss out on a lot with family and friends. So being able to actually come home full time and essentially live a laptop lifestyle is really what I'm chasing. So I've been going hammer and tong ever since finding out about digital investors and champions.
Fantastic. And so how does that, your current role, influence the way that you approach web design for your local businesses?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think what I find is in my current role, I take on a lot of responsibility as a supervisor. I've got to deal with multiple work groups and work fronts at the same time, project management, tasks on the job, making sure that everything runs smoothly. It's pretty easy to actually translate that back into running a digital agency and, creating websites for clients and doing SEO. And it's actually probably easier, to be honest, doing it as a digital agency because it's only me, right? So I don't have to deal with a whole team that I have to look after. It's basically, I'm accountable for myself, which is great, and I know what I can deliver to clients. So it's not. I won't say it's not, like it is definitely still hard to have those conversations with clients at times, but it has gotten much easier ever since kind of starting up this digital agency. I think everyone. Probably speak for most people when I say that, when you first start a digital agency or when you're first talking to clients and you're trying to explain what you do and you're trying to get money out of them, it's never really the easiest conversation to have. But I think once you really understand your value and you know your worth, and you stay accountable and you show integrity, then you're fine. So yeah, I think being a supervisor in a high-risk mining environment has really kind of helped me approach dealing with customers and clients, in a respectful manner, I guess.
Oh, fantastic. And I guess because the Gold Coast is such an eclectic melting pot of different businesses and people, who are the types of clients that you find either work best with you or that you find you're able to provide really high service to?
Yeah, so I think for me, my client base at the moment is definitely the small local businesses. When I say the small local businesses, I'm talking about the businesses out there that are trying to compete with the big players, but they're just not really having that presence online that's actually kind of getting them to that point. That's sort of what Hidden Valley Digital was about, and that's how it was actually born. The Hidden Valley is essentially a euphemism or like a metaphor, I guess, for clients or local businesses that just may not be getting seen. So the peaks on my logo actually symbolise, been at the bottom, but then working your way up to the top and actually coming out on top and, being able to compete up there. So, yeah, my client base primarily, small local businesses. I would say, anywhere from a small local trade to even like a local artist. I've built an e-commerce store for a local artist there to help them get up on Google and sell their products and just have people get them noticed. So, look, it is a very highly competitive environment, especially on the Gold Coast. There's a number of digital agencies out there, but there's a lot of work out there for website designers and SEO agencies. As long as you're willing to, put in the work, but be honest with yourself and be honest with your clients and actually provide value for them. I don't think it really matters who you work for. I think as long as, like I said before, like your integrity is intact and you do the right thing by your clients, you'll get, lots of work. So, anywhere from a local trade all the way up to, a big accounting firm or plastic surgery, or even a really interesting one would be a removalist company that actually specialises in getting rid of old elevators from high-rise apartments and buildings. So
that's pretty unique.
Amazing what comes across your it's amazing what comes across your desk.
Yeah. So I suppose with all those different types of clients in mind, lots of business owners, especially that we've seen, and I assume on the Gold Coast as well, they'll often build a site just to tick a box, and that's not getting them connected as they want to be. So what's the biggest mistake, and I know you've built quite a few websites now, but what's the biggest online mistake that you see people making with their websites?
Cookie cutter. Building a cookie cutter website with absolutely no keyword research, or worse, what I'm coming across now is website built using AI language.
Yeah.
It's become one of those things now where people think that you can put a website together using ChatGPT or Claude and just saying, write me content for a website, and then sticking it on there, and like it reads AI and there's no keywords in there, and it's terrible.
Yeah. So I suppose, without giving away all of your secrets, but when a Gold Coast business is looking for a new website design or someone to help them out, do you just dive straight into shifting pixels around, or do you have a bit more of a process behind that?
No, I've got a fairly detailed process. I really like to actually sit down and talk to my clients face to face. It's a big thing for me, being able to, one, know that you're going to work well together with your client, and two, show them that you're a real person and you're not, somebody overseas who's claiming that you're going to build your website for $500 and it's going to be the best thing ever. Again, it comes back down to your value, right? So when you sit down with your client and you can actually step out with them and you can go through and go, hey, this is your website now, and this is what we're planning to do. And I'll go through the process of doing like an SEO audit in front of them, and I'll pull up, an SEO audit tool, and I'll show them, or, I'll even use the inspect or the view source code on the page, and I'll show them that there's no alt image text in their pictures or anything like that, or the H1s are incorrect, or there's no site structure. And I think when you show them that in person, obviously try and keep it in layman's terms so you don't confuse the hell out of them. They really start to go, oh wow, this guy knows what he's doing. I'd like him to take over my website and help me build an online digital presence.
Yeah. So have you got an example of one of those websites that you have, I guess, had to rescue from, being a pretty little site that sits and is not connected through to anything, and certainly not connecting with the clients that they have? You mentioned there was an artist for one of them, but is there like one of those websites that you've done in the past that you've particularly gotten some pretty decent results from?
Yeah. So the artist one was actually a build from scratch. So they actually come to me. They found me on Google. I actually asked them what keywords they typed into Google to find me. I think it was something like SEO agency Currumbin.
Yep.
Shameless plug. But they come to me and he sat down and he was like, look, I've got all this artwork and t-shirts, and I print my art onto my t-shirts, and it's all Australian-based art. And I'm like, yep, great. I was like, what do you want to do? And he told me what he wanted to do, and I was like, okay, cool. So we're going to build an e-commerce store. And I'm like, I've never built an e-commerce store before. This was like a first for me. So, I probably severely underpriced it. Obviously, being my first one for an e-commerce store, but I also didn't want to, leave him holding the bag if I completely butchered it. So, look, fast forward now, say, what are we, 6 months? February, I built that site. Let's just say fast forward to today. He is basically ranking number one. He's out competing Temu, Amazon, major clothing brands for keywords on the Gold Coast for his local art and his t-shirt prints. So really happy about that. It's been really good. I think the last report we ran, it was something like a 400% return on investment for
Can't argue with that.
For a site. So look, pretty happy, pretty good numbers. Again, because it was my first e-commerce site, he signed up to an SEO package with me. And yeah, look, I mean, he doesn't get charged like a crazy amount or something like that. And like, there's definitely a lot of work that goes into building e-commerce sites and managing products on an e-commerce site at the same time. So
there must be a lot of satisfaction that you'd get from achieving those sort of results and partnering with local businesses like that as well, that people I guess don't get from those larger type marketing firms.
You can see it on my face, eh? Like
exactly.
How happy it makes me. But the other thing too, and I think this is what I really like about it, is that you could use this as a case study, right? So when you're talking to other clients, you can be like, hey, like, I know my value. I know what I can get you. They talk about SEO taking 12 to 18 months. This guy's getting results in 6 months. He's getting clients. He's getting paid for his products. He wants to expand. I'm now looking after an Instagram page for him too. These sort of things is like how you escalate your business and you kind of start to scale up. And that's the satisfaction for me, knowing that this guy is now successful, and his money's been put to good use. Like, he's no one's taking advantage of him, and he's getting results, and that's what makes me really happy. So, yeah. That was a build from scratch. The other one that I've got, which is actually really exciting too, is I took over a website that was already under what's the word, under SEO. It was already getting SEO done on it by another SEO agency in another state, believe it or not, and this SEO agency is fairly large, fairly prominent, and really well known around the in the digital space. When I had a look at this client website, they come to me when I had a look at this client website. It was had no domain authority, it had no page authority, had no trust flow, and it had no citation. The SEO agency told them that they were getting links built for the website. When we went through and I did the audit on the website, there was not a single link to be found on that site, like any backlinks or anything like that. And I thought that was really disappointing. Alt image text on images, nothing there. It was mind blowing to see that the sort of money that they were paying this digital agency, and they'd been there for 12 months and they hadn't ranked number one in Google for any keywords whatsoever. So primarily a lot of their inquiries and a lot of their views were coming from Instagram and Facebook as like social marketing platforms and avenues. So anyway, I took over this website in May, and I hope this doesn't sound like I'm boasting or anything like that, but I was really happy with this one too. So I went through and I've started going through their content articles and their blog posts and things like that. There was no internal linking, no external linking. they did have H1 and H2s. I think that was about the only thing that they got right on that site. The images didn't even match the blog post. So,
Yeah.
they were talking about, decks, and they had a picture of an infinity pool.
Yeah.
So it's just like, what's going on here? Like, this makes no sense. Like, if I was a reader and I saw this, I'd be like, there's something wrong with this site. I'm bouncing, and I pogo stick off, So yeah, look, I've had them since May, and I started doing some link building with them by using some of their other competition. They call it skyscraping or skyscraper. So pulling links from other reputable competitors, I guess, and just kind of copying what they do. And yeah, once we started building up links to them, citations, getting some backlinks to some reputable businesses, they went from a citation profile of nothing to 27. 27 out of 100, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but when you think about like the grand scheme, it's probably not too bad. And their domain authority went up to 22 from 0. So page authority was sitting, I think, was about 24 or 25 from memory, and the trust flow was about roughly the same as their citation to show, that the links that we were actually building for them were from trustworthy sources and they weren't spammy. Fast forward now to June, and they are now ranking #1 in Google for keywords around the areas that they service for building and renovations. So they're really happy with that.
As they should be.
So am I. But there's still a lot of work to do, right? Like, it's definitely not just cut and shut. Just because they're sitting on Google, it doesn't mean everything's perfect. There's still plenty of work to do, and I want to get them, higher and higher up into the domain authority and the trust index and things like that. So a lot of work to do there, but initial steps, they're really happy with the results that they've got. So much so now that I'm actually looking after their Pinterest page too, which was at 562 views, I think, when I took over. And that was the same with May. It was actually May 31st because it was my birthday. That's how I remember it. Good birthday present. And as of, I think it was today, it's sitting at just over 7,000 monthly views.
Oh, so, fantastic.
Yeah.
That really highlights the value of there's so many agencies that even we see with Amplify Web Design that we take over from big agencies, and they're just missing the fundamentals, and that investment that they've made into the fundamentals sounds like it is just going to compound and keep compounding over time, so that they'll retain that spot high up in the ranks on page 1 of Google, because we get the basics right, because we get the alt image text, because we get the links from high quality reputable places. It's not as simple as what everyone thinks to just build a pretty web page, but unfortunately that's what a lot of business owners do see, and that's part of the whole reason why we started Local Web Expert, was to really try and give a bit of insight into the industry and where to find and what to challenge, so that you don't end up with a cowboy type agency, and go with somebody local and trusted like yourself with Hidden Valley Digital, so that business owners don't get ripped off. If you had to categorize, though, is it trust? If you've found that we were working with somebody who's been, I guess, burnt by an agency previously, is it budget, trust, or tech, or something like that is the biggest hurdle for them to be comfortable with your services?
Yeah, so I think, and this goes back to what I was saying about wanting to meet people in person, right, and not do it over, just online. Like, online's not bad, but or email's terrible. In person, I think just it helps build that trust, because yes, I think absolutely you're right. When local businesses have tried agency before, these agencies have charged them $4,000 a month and they've got no results. But the worst part about it is they lock them in, and they say, I need your website for 12 months. You're gonna pay $4,000 a month for 12 months, so you're essentially sitting on close to $50,000 worth of income, and you're there to try and provide a service, and this person's just spent $50,000 of their hard-earned money in a local business just to basically be shafted.
Yeah.
And look, you'd like to think that some time ago these SEO agencies really did right by their customers, but maybe they just got too big. I don't know, or maybe they just started outsourcing everything, and all of a sudden they don't care about the little fish anymore, and they're just going after the the big, well, the dogfish tuna, the elusive bloody fish of the sea. It's one of those things. It's like, yes, trust is huge, and
Yep.
if they've been burnt before, it's extremely hard for them to trust that it's not going to happen again.
So
Like anything in life, if you've been burnt before, you're not going to trust that person.
So to the average business owner, all this SEO stuff sounds a bit like black magic. But if you had to explain what local SEO is and sort of how it works, how would you explain that to a prospective business owner?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's actually a really interesting one too, isn't it? Because I do like to use a couple of those, analogies that I've heard in certain webinars and things like that that we've been part of.
Yep.
I think there's one that I really like, and I think it kind of sums it up really well. Is that your website is like your shop front, right? So essentially, it's there. It's where people go, but people need to be able to find your website. People don't know where your website is; they're not going to go there. So that's where SEO comes involved. So SEO is the road leading up to your shop front, right? It's the path up to your shop front. So that's how I categorize it, local SEO, when I talk to clients. I'm like, okay, well, you might have a website, but we now need to get people going to your website. How are we going to get them there? We're going to build them a road. How do we build them that road? SEO. So, we're doing our keywords, we're doing our citations, we're doing our link building, we're doing Google business profiles, we're doing, constant audits, we're adding blog posts, we're, changing your metadata, we're always looking to see what is going to be ranking better than what people are searching for. So another analogy I heard not long ago was really good too. It was like SEO is like a full fuel tank, right? So if you don't do any SEO on your site over time, that fuel tank's just going to go to empty. So when you do SEO for a client, you're keeping that fuel tank full, you're keeping them current, you're keeping them relevant. So yeah.
So that sounds like, website build's done, the site's live, but there seems to be another investment into that to keep it running, and that's the SEO part of it. Is there something that business owners don't understand about that you find that you have to explain to get them to come on board with it? They think it's just a one and done. I have the website and I'll leave it there and, build it and they will come. Is that do you find that attitude sort of pervasive?
Yes, but you set the expectations very early with your clients that you go, okay, well, no, SEO, once we build your website, yeah, great. I mean, Google might pick your website up in a couple of weeks, but if you don't do anything with that website is going to start disappearing down the rankings, because your clients, you can guarantee they're going to be, depending on how competitive your industry is, they are going to be working to keep their website where they are. And, that's a number of things. That's your SEO, but that's also, referrals, word of mouth, all those sorts of things will always, keep you relevant. But another one, which is kind of a tough one too, is budget.
Yeah.
If someone's got a bigger budget, they're going to outcompete you. If they're spending money on Google Ads or they're doing Facebook Meta and things like that, they're going to, unfortunately, they're going to beat you to the post. But if you can build quality content on your website, and we always talk about it, right? You talk about your quality content, you do your web of discovery, you have your link pointing back out from your website to back into your website to reputable sources. You have a damn good chance of staying up there and competing with the big dogs, even if they are spending lots of money on, Google Ads and Facebook Meta. So, yes, it is always a tough one to try and explain to the clients, but once you set those expectations early, they understand, and if you can show them examples too, like that really helps push things along. So you can be like, okay, well, and this is why I love my SEO audit tools, and my screenshots and my reports, because I can go, okay, well, this is how it started, this is where it is, but this took 6 months of solid work to get to this point. It didn't just happen overnight, and it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
And you need to come to terms with that.
So for a business owner on the Gold Coast who might be listening and thinking, geez, I haven't worked on my site for a while, or oh, I really know that I need to do something with it. What's the first step you'd recommend? How do they start that process rolling?
Yeah, so the first process, or the first step, I think, to get it rolling is to do an audit on the website. So run an SEO audit, see what's going on in the technical side of things. So we're talking, your site speed, your security, those types of things. But then also looking into your on-page, because if, let's say you haven't touched your website in a long time, is the content relevant on the site now? Are they the keywords that people are searching for to find your business? That's what we need to be looking into. So, yep, absolutely. SEO audit is 100% probably the first step that we do, just to, see where that website is at the moment and what we can do to turn it around if that's what they're looking at doing. Because yes, having a website is great, but if you have a website that's dormant, I mean, it's been spoken about before. You can Google it. Google will always delist or derank a website if there's nothing getting done to it, because if you don't find it relevant, why is Google going to find it relevant?
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Josh, for diving deep into the work into Hidden Valley. If you're a business owner in the Palm Beach, Currumbin area, or just the general Gold Coast, and you want a website that truly works, check out Hidden Valley Digital's full profile on localwebexpert.com.au, or you can head straight to their website at hiddenvalleydigital.com.au. Touch base with them and find out how that local expertise makes all the difference. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.